What is up? Welcome to the weekend. Welcome to NFL Live. We're going to lose a couple characters in the NFL season finale. Here today, Mina Kimes, Marcus Spears, Ryan Clark. I'm Phil Murphy. It's Week 18, and the finale of the finale, game 272 of 272. Ravens-Steelers. Winner gets the AFC North and a wild-card home game. Loser immediately starts an offseason with a fair bit of self-examination. Since divisional realignment created the AFC North 2002, this is just the second win and in for this division in which the loser goes home. Baltimore still has a chance because they won at Lambeau without Lamar Jackson. He sat last Saturday with a back contusion. For the first time in 2 months, Jackson had a full week of practice this week. He will start in Pittsburgh. Here's the two-time MVP yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, man. I'm gonna be out there.
You get a full weekend of practice.
Feel great to be out there with my guys as always. Feel great. I never quit on my team before, so I never quit anything, to be honest with y'all. So I don't know where that noise came from, but I already know my brother gonna pull it off if I couldn't get it done,
And we've got something new on NFL Live on this Friday. Former Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt, said, quote, "I feel really good. Not sure that I could have said that a week ago. I'm excited to play." Watt missed the last 3 games due to a partially collapsed lung suffered during a dry needling treatment on December 10th. Pittsburgh 3-11 in games that Watt has missed since he was drafted by the Steelers. So, Marcus, Lamar's back. Watt's back. It sounds like his last game was Pittsburgh's win over Baltimore. How do you anticipate the Ravens attacking the Steelers' defense?
Man, when I used to get in trouble at school and I get home, my mama would come in with the belt and she'll say, same old, and this is what it needs to be. Derrick Henry last week had 36 total carries, and he needs to be around 30 again this week. And I know the Lamar Jackson element is going to be available for this game, but Todd Monken doesn't need to forget what brought him to this point to have an opportunity to play this game. And you were graced by the football gods that the Cleveland Browns were able to get it done against the Pittsburgh Steelers. There'll be no DK Metcalf, so you shouldn't be giving up a lot of points if you're the Ravens defense, and 22 should have a hefty load as they play against Pittsburgh. And when Lamar needs to push the ball down the field and make some plays down the field, hopefully they can, but it needs to be a heavy dose of Derrick Henry, obviously.
I think last week was a gift for the Baltimore Ravens. Not that the Cleveland Browns beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, but that Todd Monken got to see what it's like to actually give Derrick Henry the ball in December. The week before, where he didn't play late in the fourth quarter, he was obviously missing. There was a level of physicality missing from this offense. And to see Derrick Henry carry the ball in the way that he did, but finish, should let Todd Monken know against a Pittsburgh Steelers defense, who we saw the Buffalo Bills dominate, but have been better against the run, that's the way to start this game in big personnel, in 12, in 21, utilizing Patrick Ricard, where you can change the numbers and also change the formations with him, and then allow Lamar Jackson to play off of that. I am looking to see what Lamar looks like running the football, though, because if you go back to the Green Bay Packer game, there were some called runs for Tyler Huntley, and specifically some called quarterback draws where Tyler Huntley was able to pick up huge first downs with his legs. And I felt like his legs played such a big part in this game, in this offense, being able to move the football. And if Lamar Jackson is willing to run, willing to push it, willing to get into the open field and be the most dynamic runner we've ever seen from the quarterback position, again, I think that only helps this Baltimore Ravens and what they'll be able to do in attacking the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I love that point, Ryan, and I'm in total agreement with you. I would love to see Lamar Jackson carry the football a couple times early in this game. He doesn't have to be the engine of the rushing attack. He just needs to carry it enough in the first quarter to put that fear, that hesitation in the minds of the Steelers defenders, the way, as you just pointed out, Tyler Huntley did to Green Bay. This Ravens run game was amazing against Green Bay. It's actually been really good now for a large chunk of the season. In fact, since the halfway point, they are first league-wide in EPA per play. They are tied for the most explosive runs in the NFL. They've also been efficient. They're 6th in success rate. And when they went up against the Steelers defense not that long ago, they ran all over them then. The Steelers gave up the most yards after contact on the ground that they have all year long. This isn't complicated, right? And the only question I think I have for the passing game is if the Pittsburgh Steelers sell out to stop the run, and I think we all agree they're probably going to do that at some point in this game, Can you beat them with that play-action passing attack? Zay Flowers was also a very important piece in that last game against man coverage. Would love to see that connection between him and Lamar when the Steelers stack the box, because I think we all know they will.
MK and RC, both great points. But the other part of this, too, is we've seen the Baltimore Ravens in big spots. Ball security is going to be paramount. It's seemingly every time they get into these one-and-done, big-time games, the turnover bug happens. They have to take care of the football as well. That's the only way I think the Steelers can win this game outright. If Baltimore turns it over.
It's a heck of a matchup with the faces on the marquee. Jackson, Rodgers, the first time we've ever had a regular season finale in NFL history in which both quarterbacks have multiple MVP awards. No shortage of QB availability storylines heading into Week 18. Starting in Buffalo, our top stories, the Bills' last scheduled appearance at Highmark Stadium. The old blue jersey, red helmet aesthetic coming out. TBD whether Josh Allen puts on said helmet against the Jets. He's got a foot injury, was a limited participant at practice Friday, though he is not on the injury report. Packers quarterback Jordan Love has cleared concussion protocol but will not start for Green Bay Sunday in Minnesota. Clayton Tune gets the nod instead with the Packers locked into the 7 seed. Matt LaFleur said Love won't be alone among starters to rest, but did not provide other names that are going to be sitting out. The Chargers risk falling to the AFC 7 seed with a road loss Sunday to the Broncos. Jim Harbaugh said Monday Herbert will not play as LA tries to prevent Denver from clinching the Conference 1 seed. Trey Lance will start with DJ Uiagalelei serving as the backup. The 49ers offense, Trey Lance's former team, needs a graphic for all its injury updates before tomorrow's home game against the Seahawks for the NFC 1 seed. Good news for the faithful. Everybody here is expected to play outside of Ricky Pearsall, who's questionable with knee and ankle injuries. Trent Williams didn't practice at all this week, but the 4-time All-Pro is expected to go. He played all of 1 snap in the win over the Bears. What's at stake? The division, the bye, home games throughout the playoffs, for which San Francisco, that would mean for them not having to get on a plane to and through Super Bowl 60 if it came to it. For the Seahawks, they're the 1 with the win and the 5 with the loss, which is a visit to the NFC South champ. For the 49ers, they have to win. Otherwise, they risk potentially falling as low as the 6th seed if the Rams beat the Cardinals on Sunday. Mina, Brock Purdy's been on a tear lately, 35.7 points per game in 6 games since returning from an injury, 6 straight wins. But this Seahawks defense is in a different animal entirely. What do you see in that strength versus strength matchup going into tomorrow night?
Well, I think the game plan is going to be really contingent upon the availability of Trent Williams. Phil, I'm not so sure he plays. That's something I'm monitoring until Saturday, coming off the hammy, and that is massive. You know, we think of him as being so important, obviously, in pass protection, and we know how good this Seahawks 4-man rush is and how tremendous Mike McDonald is, by the way, at isolating weaknesses on the offensive line and attacking them with, you know, creative stunts, simulated pressures, and the like. But to me, where his presence looms largest is on the ground. Since the beginning of 2024, when Trent Williams plays, the Niners average 4.6 yards per carry. Without him, that drops to 4. That might not sound like a lot. That's the difference between the 6th or 7th best rushing attack in football and the 28th. They go way more pass-heavy when he does not play, cognizant of that. So I think you're going to see a lot more quick game. Tackling becomes important. And to me, you know, going against the Seahawks defense that we know loves to play with light bodies against heavy ones, if they can't run the ball well, I think that's a problem because you don't want Brock constantly in drop-back situations.
Yeah, when you look at what the Seattle Seahawks have been able to do, so much is predicated off of the way that this defense plays. Mike McDonald and his ability to confuse quarterbacks, to change the look post-snap. And so I do believe the second play is going to be extremely important for Brock Purdy when you look at some of these guys on the outside who could be missing with Ricky Pearsall banged up, George Kittle coming off of an ankle. Yes, he's great at playing with anticipation, but it's been Brock Purdy getting outside the pocket, creating second play opportunities, and even using his legs to pick up first downs that I really feel has fueled sort of this run they've been on since he returned from injury. In that first game, they were able to turn the football over twice from Brock Purdy, but it was because he was trying to extend plays, throw footballs into traffic. I think we'll get the same thing this week against the the Seattle Seahawks. And so will they be able to keep him in the pocket with integrity? And what will that second layer of rush and contain be for the Seattle Seahawks? If I'm Mike McDonald, that's something I'm focused on the entire week of preparation.
Yeah, RC, the focal point for me would be this D-line and to you, how much of a string are they on? Brock Purdy now is a dual-threat quarterback, and I think we need to acknowledge that with what he's been able to do these last 2 weeks, going back to the Indianapolis game. Not only is he a dual-threat quarterback, but using his legs to actually run the football as well. It's going to be paramount for this defensive line to understand rush lanes, rush integrity, and when he does want to extend those plays, always have some pressure in front of him. I actually want him to play from the pocket, and we've applauded Brock Purdy so much for his anticipation, his ball distribution, but now it's about keeping him in the pocket and getting hands up as well. Remember, this is not a tall quarterback. Some of those downs are very critical with these defensive linemen. Leonard Williams is, I believe, 6'4", 6'5". You think about DeMarcus Lawrence, the length of these guys as well. So I think it's going to be vitally important for this defensive line to understand their rush plan and execute it to a very high level. But also when Brock Purdy is playing from inside the pocket, the interior push and the ability to get your hands up and maybe affect some of these throws that he loves to throw, especially in the middle of the field. That'll be a focal point for me while this game is going on.
And Swagu, he has been a metronome of consistency this season, only held below a 60 QBR twice. Lone
What's
loss
a metronome?
as a starter to Jacksonville Week 4, and that ISR Monday Nighter of a win at Carolina.
What is that?
I knew it. I knew it. I was going to ask too.
It's predictable. It's consistent.
Like when you play the piano.
I'm no musician. I just know it means you got a high floor. And San Francisco is going to love that because the quarterback on the other side hasn't always been a high floor. We're going to be getting to that conversation later in this huge one for the NFC 1 seed.
This is not an indictment on LSU, by the way, before y'all start, okay? Me and RC are very smart.
That ain't what Lane Kiffin ain't come there to make us all get straight A's. That ain't why he there.
Hey, man, transfer portal's open today. That's a different show. We're just getting started here on NFL Live. The aforementioned Panthers and the Bucks duke it out with the NFC South and a playoff spot on the line. Find out which QB Marcus says will decide this game. Plus, help could be on the way for the Packers defense. Trevon Diggs be the difference that Green Bay needs. RC says it all depends on which Diggs shows up. He explains next.